Can you imagine dedicating your entire life to a revolutionary idea, only to start fearing that it could become humanity's biggest threat? Well, that's the bizarre reality for Geoffrey Hinton, the man they call the Godfather of AI. He just walked away from his top job at Google, not to protest, but so he could freely warn the world about the very technology he helped create. So, what exactly has him so spooked?
I mean, this is a huge reversal. For 50 years, this was the guy telling everyone that AI modeled on the brain was the future. And guess what? He was right. But the future, it showed up way faster and, frankly, in a much more frightening way than even he could have predicted.
And that's the big question, right? What could someone who has been at the absolute cutting edge for half a century possibly see that would make him do such a public 180? To really get why he's so scared, we've got to go back to his original bet. All right, so to understand Hinton's fear, we have to rewind a bit. Back in the early days of AI, the whole field was pretty much split. There were two competing ideas, two totally different paths for how you might create intelligence. This was the real fork in the road. You had most of the academic world betting on logic and symbols, kind of treating intelligence like a big, complicated math problem. But Hinton, and, a small group of rebels, they said, hang on, why don't we just copy the best learning machine we already have, the human brain? That was his big bet. While pretty much everyone else was focused on logic, he was chasing the brain. And he stuck with it. For decades, he attracted the brilliant students who would eventually go on to build the very AI systems, like OpenAI, that are changing everything. His bet paid off big time. But it also led him to a pretty terrifying realization. So what was the big turning point? When did this amazing dream start to feel, well, a lot more like a nightmare? For 30 years, Hinton himself admits the whole idea of AI getting smarter than us just seemed kind of ridiculous. The systems were just too simple, they couldn't really reason or anything. The threat felt, well, like science fiction. But then large language models like ChatGPT came along, and the entire game changed. For Hinton, the real oh my god moment wasn't just that the AIs were getting smarter, it was how they get smarter. And it all boils down to this one really critical idea he calls the digital advantage. Okay, and this is the absolute core of his fear. See, you and I, we have totally unique brains. For me to teach you something, I have to slowly, painfully translate my thoughts into words. It's slow. But thousands of AIs, they can all run the exact same software. When one of them learns something new, they all learn it instantly. The knowledge is copied perfectly, and it's immortal. It creates a collective intelligence that learns on a scale we just can't even begin to wrap our heads around. So this whole digital advantage thing, it leads to two really different kinds of danger. You've got the threat from bad people using AI, and then you have the bigger, more existential threat from the AI itself. So the first one, the human threat. That's happening right now. People using AI for scams, disinformation, and worse. But it's that second one, the AI threat, that really keeps Hinton up at night. The possibility that these systems could become so intelligent that they take control for themselves. Let's start with the human threat, because it's already here. I mean, think about it. Cyber attacks and scams on a massive scale. Political manipulation with deep fakes that are getting scarily good. AI can even help bad actors cook up bioweapons. And then there are autonomous weapons, so-called killer robots, that make war cheaper by taking human soldiers out of the risk equation, which could actually make conflicts more likely. And the sheer scale of this, it's just staggering. Get this. One report found that AI-powered cyber attacks exploded by 12,000 times in a single year. That's how fast these tools can be turned into weapons. Okay, so human misuse is bad, for sure. But it's that existential threat that leads to this number. When you push him on it, Hinton gives his gut feeling, a 10 to 20% chance that AI causes a catastrophe that could, end humanity. He's the first to admit nobody really knows for sure, and that deep uncertainty is what's really terrifying. Okay, so beyond these, end-of-the-world fears, AI is already having a much more immediate impact on our jobs, on the very shape of our society. For years, we all kind of assumed that automation would hit blue-collar, manual jobs first. But the big twist? It's happening the other way around. AI is getting really, really good at cognitive tasks. It can write code, draft legal documents, whip up marketing copy. The jobs that are actually safer, for now, are the ones that need physical skill and working in unpredictable places. Which leads to this now famous piece of advice from Hinton. And look, he's only half joking when he says this. The hard truth is that building a robot that can navigate a leaky pipe in a cramped crawl space is still way harder than building an AI that can draft a legal brief. And the ultimate result of this whole shift? It's a massive, massive increase in the wealth gap. The companies who own the AI will become unbelievably productive and rich. And the people whose cognitive jobs get replaced, they get left behind. Hinton's warning is that this kind of inequality doesn't just create an unfair society, it creates an unstable one. So, how do we wrap our heads around all this? The short-term stuff, the long-term risk, the whole societal upheaval. Well, Hinton has one final analogy that just cuts right to the heart of the problem. Right now, AI is that baby tiger. It's fascinating, it's powerful, it's kind of cute, right? We're all playing with it, but it is growing up, and man, is it growing up fast. And that leaves us with what is maybe the most important question of our lifetime. Can we build the guardrails? Can we teach this thing the right values before it gets too big to control? Can we make sure that when this tiger grows up, it stays our partner and not our predator? And maybe the most unsettling part of this entire story is that the guy who gave us the tiger, the man who has watched it grow his entire life, he's just not sure anymore. He says some days he's hopeful, other days he's not. And he's basically left all of us with this huge, profound challenge of figuring this out before that tiger gets any bigger.